So, hey everybody, I'm Robyn from GrillGirl.com. Let me see if I can make my face bigger. But today, what I want to do is, as a continuation of my Girls That Grill series, I am interviewing Sunny Moody, who is such an inspiration. I first learned about Sunny Moody actually through my friend Brooke Lewis from The Shed. And she said, have you met Sunny yet? And I said, no. And then I introduced myself to Sunny on Instagram, and really the rest is history. And so I'm not going to do you justice in this because you have so many accolades. I need it on paper because I have no memory. But Sunny is currently the reigning world champion steak cook. So she is, and you just won a grand championship this weekend.
I did. Yes.
So you've got all of these championships that you should definitely talk about under your belt. But what I also think is really cool is that you're also a personal trainer and nutrition consultant. And I think you have a very interesting and atypical story to tell. So I'd love to just introduce you guys to Sunny. And first of all, Sunny, I think it's just really interesting to learn, like, how did you get into grilling? And grilling is one thing, and then competition barbecue is another thing. But first, just like, how did you get exposed to cooking over fire, which most women are still not doing, unfortunately?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of women are intimidated by it. And I was actually intimidated by it. Thinking back on it, I mean, I was introduced to it when I was small. We used to go camping. I was raised on a farm. So for us to get away, we would go camping and we would catch our fish and we would cook them over the open fire. But to me, that wasn't grilling. That was just more live fire cooking. We do tinfoil dinners, Dutch oven cooking. So that's kind of what I grew up with. But when I met my husband, he had grown up grilling and barbecuing with his dad. So he kind of took that role and he always handled it in the backyard. But he became a KCBS judge and went and judged for like a year, traveled around and judged competitions. And he wanted me to throw the meat on one night because he was working late. And he had it marinating in the fridge. And at the time, we just had a little pellet smoker in our backyard. And I was like, I don't know how to use a pellet grill or smoker. And he was just go push the button, let it smoke for about 5 minutes, and then come back and it should be up to temp and you can throw the meat on. And I was like, okay, I think I can handle pushing a button. So I did that. But when I actually came back out, the entire thing was in flames, like full on flames.
Hey, pellet smokers aren't supposed to do that.
No, that's not normal. And I was like, this is not normal. This is not good. So I'm calling him, trying to get it away from the house and unplug it. And he goes, well, it should have a little flame in the bottom. And I go, no. And I flipped the camera around and I mean, the entire thing was in flames. And so when he got home, we tore it apart and our pellet hopper had actually jammed. But as well, he hadn't cleaned the grill. So there was grease back up as well as a pellet hopper jam, which it caused combustion. So that was not my fault.
Wow.
Luckily.
That's a crazy first experience to have,
I'm glad it didn't. It is. And it's scary. Yeah. And then I was like, I don't want to grill again. And he knew, to get me over my fears, like I have to do it. I have to try again. So he got me into it and started teaching me in the backyard. And then he was a welder by trade and through high school and college. And so he goes, I'm just going to build a backyard smoker, like a little, smoker. And I was like, okay. So I'm thinking like, little teeny grill. And I was like, okay, sure. And then we went a year later to go and pick this up. I wondered why he was spending so many hours each night, like with formulas and calculations and the stack needs to go here and it needs to be this tall. And I'm like, this is really like in depth. So we went to pick this up about a year later. It was a 500-gallon, like short propane tank that was mounted to a trailer. Wow. I mean, this thing was, I couldn't even lift the lid all the way because I wasn't tall enough. And I was like, what are we doing? I was expecting a little backyard smoker. And he goes, no, we're going to do competition barbecue. And I'm like, what? I'm like, who is we? Who's we? Looking around. Like, yeah. And he's like, no, I signed us up for a class from Sterling Smith from Loot and Booty. And I was like, oh, both of us? And he's like, yep. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. He's having fun in this hobby, you know, like this is a good hobby. I can handle this. So we went to the class. I had my notebook. I think I took like 8 pages of notes that day. I'm pretty sure that Smitty was like, oh my gosh, is she going to ask another question? But it paid off, because when we went to our first competition, it was a KCBS competition. So we had to do all 4 meats, the chicken, brisket, ribs, and pork. We were against like 90 something teams, and we got a call in brisket. I want to say it was like 5th in brisket. And you just don't do that. You just don't come out out of the gate like that.
And brisket's a hard one.
Brisket is a hard one. So that's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, we actually let people. I need one of those. I totally need one of those. We played around with brisket a long time in our backyard and did the Texas tour, and met Franklin and saw his pits and went to, you know, Cherry Black's and all these different like restaurants and places in Texas, and tried their brisket and learned as much as we could about it. And we actually ran a Texas style brisket in competition. So that first competition, and all the people that we let taste it, you know, around us and stuff, they're like, it's not going to do good because it's salt and pepper. That doesn't hit in the competition world. And we're like, well, we're just here to learn. This is our first time. We're just getting into it and stuff. And it placed. And we were just like, that doesn't happen. That doesn't normally happen. Obviously we've changed recipes since then and stuff, but yeah, to be able to master a brisket right out of the gate was incredible. So obviously we cooked because we got a call, and that's kind of how we started our barbecue journey. Grilling, obviously I burnt a pellet smoker, but
not your fault though.
I did, right? I survived the pellet smoker. It didn't survive, but that's okay. We got another one.
Sounds like it was time for a new one by what happened. And that's kind of how I started my grilling journey, was pretty much like singeing my eyebrows off. So sometimes that's what it takes, I guess.
Yes, for real. You live and learn and then grow.
Exactly. And so you guys are competing and you're kicking so much butt. What I kind of want to learn more about is, where did the when did you go on start your journey on? I read on your website you kind of had a transformation, and I think you are an inspiration for a lot of people, you know what I mean? And I think what's inspiring about you is that you're a competition cook, but you also show that you can be healthy, you know what I mean? Because there are a lot of people that live that barbecue world but are very unhealthy. You know, and even people say that to me, like, how do you cook so much and you stay thin? And I'm like, well, you know, it's all about moderation. And I also, you know, you can eat barbecue, but you don't have to eat all the sides. And, you know, you can also eat vegetables, and you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that go into it. So I'd love to learn more about your journey of becoming a personal trainer, and just, you have all these accolades, and I just love to learn more about that. I've seen pictures of you and you're doing these like bikini competitions, and I think it's, but obviously you didn't start there, right? And you're a mom of 4. I mean, even just being in a bikini after you've had 4 kids is really a feat in itself, I think. So
yeah, that was really scary.
You look amazing. So you're an inspiration. So I'd love to learn how that transpired. And I know obviously when change is hard, and you probably had some low points. So I think by telling your story, you can be an inspiration to people who might be at the beginning of their journey and fitness and really health. You know, it sounds like it was more about health for you, you know, not just obviously losing weight, but really your health, you know, because without your health, you have nothing.
Yes, exactly. So that actually perspired close to the same time as we started our barbecue journey. I know that sounds weird, but I did have 4 kids, and I was going through some health complications. I would go numb and tingly in my extremities, in my arms and my legs, and my husband would have to carry me around the house for a good 5 to 6 hours. It was almost like having an epidural, and we had no clue what was going on. And then I would have these weird, I don't know, head sensations where it was almost like an out of person experience where I would be next to my body, but I was spinning. So we started some testing and things and found out that I had a brain and spinal malformation as well. Well, they were going to do brain surgery. So we ended up with a neurologist and a neurosurgeon, and we were preparing for brain surgery. And kind of at that point, I was 88 pounds overweight. So I knew for me that I needed to make a change. Like I was going to do everything in my power to, become healthy and try to save my life, because I had 4 little girls that needed me. So you can either, sit back and watch yourself deteriorate and feel sorry for yourself, or you can try to make a change. And I have seen so many people just sit back and, give up, that I knew that I didn't want to do that. I've seen how it's affected their family and stuff, and I didn't want that. So I fought. I kind of just, I was scared because I was 80 pounds overweight. I didn't want to go to a gym because it's intimidating. I had never actually been in a gym, even though in high school I was a cheerleader. I was fit back then, whatever. I had been lost for about 10 years in a deep, deep, dark depression, just due to a lot of things. I was a forensic scientist. And so I had saw, some gruesome things, and went into like a PTSD. And then I was envious of like all the ladies out there around me, and, how they could be managing everything. And I wanted to be them, and I couldn't. I was tearing myself down. So
that's the worst. I think a lot of women are so hard on themselves, harder than other people would be on themselves, I know I'm my worst enemy. And worst critic,
You are, for sure. And until you realize that, I mean, you don't need to be hit with a bleak diagnosis like I was, but just to be able to come out of that and realize that you have so much more potential, it's life-changing. But that took a long time for me to come to that realization. The starting point was the bleak diagnosis, and preparing for a brain surgery that, could alter my life, could easily end up in a wheelchair, or who knows. At the same time as we were going through all the testing, they found that I have MS as well.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, I mean, throw that on top. Let's see what else we can throw at me. But I didn't want to give up. I had, focused on nutrition and fitness from my home, and I'd lost 30 pounds on my own. But then I started stalling, and I was eating 1,200 calories and working out a couple hours a day and trying to be the best that I could. But obviously that kills your metabolism. So I didn't know what I was doing wrong at the time. I knew I was getting healthier, but I had stalled and didn't know. When we went back in for a week before my brain surgery, they said I didn't need it, because I had actually kind of just stalled the process, the deterioration of what was happening.
Wow.
Because I was getting fit, and I was improving my own circulation and focusing on my health and my nutrition and movement, basically.
Wow.
So I do still have the problem.
Yourself, or you really, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that's just amazing. I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm shocked. I think that's just, wow.
It's not, I'm not healed. I still have the problems, but they're not progressing as fast as they could. So I still do go in for checkups about every 6 months, 6 to 8 months. I go in for checkups on them for the MS and the brain and spinal malformation. But I'm not progressing like most people would. And the doctors just keep telling me, do what you're doing, because I am continually, focusing on how my body's feeling and what's affecting it, because you can learn so much from food as to what's affecting your body and fitness. There are days when I wake up and I'm so inflamed and my joints hurt, or my left arm is totally numb and I don't want to go. I know that those are the days that my body needs it the most, because I need the circulation flowing in my body. Now, can I push like a powerhouse in the gym that day? No, but I can get my circulation flowing, and I can do more than I think I could, rather than just laying in bed all day.
Absolutely. It's amazing you were at least able to postpone having brain surgery, which is a pretty major, could be a life-changing event. So, I mean, that should just feel good. Just the fact that you've done that, even if you have to have it one day, the fact that you were able to slow that down.
Slow the progression. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
It's life-changing. So after that, my husband was like, well, let's hire a personal trainer. And I was like, okay, well, I just didn't want Joe Schmo to tell me to squat lower at the gym. Like, I want to know what's going on with my nutrition and my exercise, and what I'm doing wrong. And so the gal that we ended up hiring, I didn't realize that she was an Olympic athlete. And so she's an Olympic bodybuilder. And I told her my goals. I told her I was scared to death. I had no clue. She put together a plan for me. And I was like, we're just going to be honest. Like, I do not know any of these exercises that you're telling me. I've never been in a gym before. And I'm really intimidated by all the people here. And she goes, it doesn't matter who's here or what they're doing. This focus is for you. And so that kind of helped, that like spurred the mindset change for me. And she taught me everything about nutrition and what I was doing wrong, and, you know, what I needed to do right, and walked through everything fitness and nutrition wise. And so within a couple months, it was about 2 months of working with her, the owner and her had encouraged me to do a bodybuilding show, a bikini competition. And I was like, to me, in my mind, anytime you go through a transformation, it's really hard in your mind to see how far you've come. So in my mind, I was still 80 pounds overweight. I still saw myself, even though I was smaller, I still saw myself as 80 pounds overweight. And I'm a mom of 4, and there's no way I could get up on stage in front of the nation, because this is broadcast, in a bikini. There's no way. So I was like, nope, not doing that. I'm here to save my life. I'm not here to do a bikini competition. So I went home and I actually told Jeff, I was like, they thought I should do a bikini competition, because my body was changing so quickly because I was doing what I needed to do without steroids, hormones, anything like that, because my body couldn't handle it. And I wanted this for a lifestyle, not for a quick fix.
Right.
So,
and I think that's really important that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of people think that, you know, it should be about being a quick fix, and it's not. And I feel like that's how people set themselves up to fail, is that they're like, I need to lose, maybe it's 20 pounds, and they go on some diet, but it's not a lifestyle. So as soon as you stop doing that weird, whatever it was you're doing, it's going to all come back on. So until you really learn to change those behaviors and learn what it means to have moderation and what's good for your body, you know, I think that's, anyway, we're all it's a learning process, you know, and
it's the learning process. Yes. And it's making those slow changes. You know, there is no magic pill. There is no quick fix. It needs to be sustainable for the rest of your life, you know, until you're 80. Can you see yourself eating this way? Yeah. That's what's got to be realistic. You know, you know, there's all different kinds of diets out there and stuff, but again, it's a diet. It's not nutrition. Right. So don't eliminate food groups, because you're eliminating those nutrients, and that can't last for forever. Right. So yeah, learning that, I told Jeff, and he was like, okay, let's do it. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, you if we're paying all this money for the trainer, you're going to do the competition, because we're going to have proof that you did it. And I was like, okay.
That sounds like a man.
Oh, it totally does, right? He goes, we're going to have pictures. We're going to prove like this is incredible. And I'm like, uh-huh. And so I went back and told her the next day, I'm like, I will work towards a bikini competition. But if at any point my body is not ready, I do not want to be on stage. I want you to pull me, because for me, it would do more harm and damage mentally to me to be up on stage not ready than it would be if I was ready and I can overcome this fear. And she was like,
hard.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Stage. I mean, Lord, I can't even imagine. Like, that's
yeah.
You've got big balls, girl. I know so many women that have way bigger balls than any guy could ever have.
Yeah, I kind of had to get to that point. And I'm not very like super girly. I don't, you know, I used to wear heels or whatever to dances and things, but you know, I don't walk all foofy. I just call it foofy, you know, because on stage you have to be like, woo. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. I'm like, just let me get up there and flex. I'm like, I can flex. And she's like, awesome. No, you have to make it all pretty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the worst part ever. I'm like, I can eat and I can work out in the gym, but the walking on stage was horrible.
But I think it's amazing you did it.
I did. So it actually took me 12 months to lose all the weight. And then the last 2 months was just prepping for the competition. So that's when we went to the extreme, you know, I'll call it the bodybuilding dieting. Again, I didn't do any steroids or any kind of, you know, crazy bodybuilding techniques. It was just the extreme dieting to get you shredded for the competition. But I did make it to the stage, which that was really overwhelming. The whole entire day was just, you know, I had to stay out of my head. I had to just get up there and do it and overcome that. And that was the first step. And my husband said, even though you got up on stage, he goes, you have changed mentally so much more and your body just followed. He goes, it's everything has happened. You know, you're a completely different person. So while I was actually prepping for the competition, that's when we started the barbecue competitions. So it was all happening at the same time. That sounds like a lot for most people. My husband knew that I needed something to take my mind off of what was actually happening. You know, I had doctor's appointments and, you know, I was scared about my health, and now I'm working with a personal trainer, and now I'm training for a bikini competition. And so it was just like, I'm going to have a meltdown.
On top of having 4 kids.
Which on top of having 4 girls. And so that were little. And so that was kind of our dates. You know, we didn't have a time to step away and just go have dates. And so our dates were going to barbecue competitions. That sounds funny, but we grew together as a couple. We learned how to cook together and how to manage the fire and build boxes, and met so many people. And Jeff knew that I needed that. I needed external people, you know, in my life and those friendships. And that's what the barbecue community provided for me. Like, it became a family for me. So it was great to have them there. Like Smitty, you know, I would take my food when I got to competition mode. I mean, I was prepping for a competition. So I'd be working out in the parking lot the morning of the competition, you know, while Jeff was fixing a meat or whatever. And then Smitty, Sterling from Loot and Booty, I would run my food over to his trailer and he'd warm it up for me in the microwave because I was on such a strict diet and they all wanted to see me succeed. So it was just like this barbecue family that created, you know, during this time. So yeah, that's kind of how that all started. A month after my competition, I did have to have some major abdominal surgery. I had some problems with my ovaries and uterus and bladder and other things. And so it wasn't cosmetic by any means. We had actually put it off. They wanted to do it earlier in the year, but they knew I was prepping for the competition. So my doctors were all on board with it too. And so we did it a month after my competition. And then I bawled to my trainer because I was like, I just spent, you know, the last 6 months getting my life on track. And now it's all going to go out the window. And she goes, no, it's not. And I go, what do you mean it's not? I go, I'm going to be down for 6 weeks, like completely down. And she goes, it doesn't matter. She goes, you can focus on nutrition. And I go, what? So she taught me how to focus on nutrition. And I did. I couldn't go downstairs or anything. I wasn't allowed to do that. I was allowed to walk around my bedroom and stuff, but that was about it for those 6 weeks. And I did. I maintained. I was able to maintain through her nutrition, and it wasn't any kind of crazy diet. It was just monitoring what I ate because my body wasn't burning as many calories as it was before. And I came back, and obviously I had to build strength back up because I was down for 6 weeks, but I came back stronger, you know, quicker than I did before. And it's been since 2018, and I've been able to maintain and just, you know, enjoy barbecue and life and everything. But I found a way to make all of my food on the grill because I wasn't just going to eat, you know, bland chicken, broccoli, and rice that everybody hears about. I'm not going to do that, you know?
Right. I know all these when I was in CrossFit and everyone's like, I'm just going to have a can of tuna and blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah, no.
And that was sort of why I got so into grilling. Cause I mean, I always wanted to major in nutrition in college, but I couldn't take all the chemistry. So I was like, I got a journalism degree instead, cause I like to write, but I've always been fascinated, and I continue, I continue to always learn, but I just always feel like grilling is so underutilized, especially by women, because it can be so healthy. Like you really don't have to do so much to something if you throw it on the grill, because the grill has so much flavor that it's adding naturally.
Yes.
You're not adding calories or like
yes.
Granted, I like to dip my steak in butter because I've been doing the competitions and that's just now, you know what I mean? But I'm like, but it's grass-fed organic butter and butter's okay. You know what I mean? Like there's all these things you learn. So yeah, I would love, so anyway, you're like preaching to the choir here, but I think it's just so underutilized to women, the grill, like such a great thing to have in your backyard, even if it's just a gas grill, So anyway, so you were started grilling because obviously chicken and rice is not going to be
that was not going to work for me. And I told her that. I was like, that's not going to work. Like we go to competitions, I need to be able to try the food that I'm turning into the judges. So if this isn't going to work, like just let me know. And she's like, it'll work. And I'm like, it's going to work. But we figured it out. And that's kind of what spurred my recipe development. I learned how to eliminate the extra sugars that weren't needed in the rubs. I learned how to use different types of wood for flavor on the grill. Even if it's a gas grill, you can make a foil packet of wood chips and you can still get the flavor of the wood.
Exactly. You're getting me so excited right now. These are all my things I love to talk about.
That's what people don't understand. They see barbecue and grilling as heavy, sauces and heavy meats and everything, but there's so much more to that. Like I meal prepped an entire week on the grill. I would make, like 3 different proteins plus all my veggies on the grill. And then I have that flavor for the week. And then I just vacuum seal it and put it in my fridge to eat later. And it was incredible. I did learn that I didn't have to add in all the extra oils and fats. I actually swapped them out for low sodium chicken broth or beef broth. And it still provided the moisture to keep the meat moist, but I didn't have to add in all those extra fats that were not necessary.
Nice.
So there's so many different like tips and tricks that you can do to still create flavorful meals, because I learned how to use mixed spices and herbs and seasonings and things to get that flavor without all the extra stuff that's not needed. So
absolutely. That's and one thing you mentioned, and I thought it was really interesting because I've heard this from a lot of people, is that you were trying to lose weight and you lost about 30 pounds. And then you said you were actually restricting your diet and couldn't lose more. And I think a lot of people don't take into account that like, that's not the full equation to, like putting your body in starvation mode will actually sometimes slow, like you said, slow your metabolism down. So I'd be interested to see maybe what you started doing, or things that you thought maybe you couldn't eat, but you could, or just some things that maybe you were like learning, like for me, I know that like, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, like 90s, the low fat era, which was totally terrible for everyone because it taught you that you should eat low fat. And then they would just substitute things that were high in sugar, which is going to convert to fat anyway. Yeah. Like you have to unlearn all these stupid things that, that were pushed by big corporations and things like that. I would just love to learn maybe some things that you learned that kind of helped you, that maybe were almost like a myth buster, if you will, like from a health perspective or food and eating perspective. Like when you met with your personal trainer and you got out and you continued your journey with them.
So a lot of people think that you need to go to the gym and work out hours upon hours a day, or you need to do tons of cardio. That was the first myth that was like busted for me, because I didn't. She started me off with 3 days, like bumped it way back. I mean, I was doing like 2, at home workouts a day, which were each like 45 minutes or whatever, bumped it way back. And I was just going to the gym 3 days a week, doing strength training, like, as heavy as I could, strength training. And I would typically do like an upper body day, I'd do a lower body day, and I'd do a full body day. And that's how I started out. So it was reversing my metabolism back to a fat burning mode, because when you're doing strength training, you're actually using the larger muscle groups of your body and you're providing that extra weight, which will increase your metabolism and your fat burning. You'll burn fat longer than you would with just cardio. Cardio is great for building strength for your heart and endurance and things, but your metabolism doesn't burn as hot as long. So, within an hour or two, you're done. You're done after the cardio. You're back to where your stationary levels were. With strength training, the weight training, you actually can burn for like up to 18 hours after you've strength trained.
That. And I think that most women gravitate towards cardio and not the weight. Yes. And that's like, I know I always have. And I'm like I said, I'm still continuing to learn things that I'm like, I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Well, and I think women get intimidated because they feel like they're going to get bulky. They feel like they're going to become the Hulk or something. But I mean, I'll just like, to get like defined muscles, like it's not bulky. It's just a pretty definition and stuff. Yeah. So I'm not going to
gorgeous arms, by the way.
Thank you.
Amazing.
I'm not going to get bulky doing it because I'm not doing the steroids. I'm not doing external hormones. I'm not trying to get bulky. I am just trying to tone and tighten those muscles and shape them, which cardio only burns fat. So you're not going to strengthen the muscles and make the definition that you want. And that's what the strength training does.
Yeah.
So I went to 3 days of strength training. Later on, we added in a little bit of cardio just because I needed to get stage ready, but she typically only had me doing a few days of cardio, and it wasn't very long. I mean, it was like 20 to 30 minutes. So never overdid it. I was never in the gym longer than an hour, any day. And I always had rest days, because rest days are important for your body too, or you can burn out. You can actually hurt joints and muscles and ligaments, and everything's got to have a day to rest. And then the second myth that was busted was you've got to eat like, 1,000 calories or 1,200 calories. She bumped me up to, I think it was close to 1,800 calories, 18 or 1,900 calories right off the bat, because I was so low at the time that, again, like you said, your body will go into starvation mode and start storing because it's not getting enough fuel for the amount of time I spent working out.
Right.
So you can cause your own damage, which actually will in turn cause metabolic and hormone damage, it's hard to reverse. So I bumped up to like 1,800 calories for a few weeks, and then, it was a couple months actually. And carbs, everybody's scared of carbs. They think carbs are going to make them fat. They're going to turn to sugars and stuff. It's actually learning how to eat the right carbs at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
You want carbs before your workout to strengthen your muscles, because they're going to burn the glycogen. So I was scared of carbs, and you know what? I ate rice and potatoes. Like, potatoes are my favorite food, and I got them like every single day. I mean, I still eat them, today. It's not just vegetables and stuff. Like, I'm eating the carbs.
Yeah.
So
and sometimes I feel like your body needs it, right? Like, I guilt myself, but sometimes I'm like, it's not like I'm like, I need French fries. I'm like, I really want a sweet potato, so I feel like you do have to listen to your body.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Let me see
and
where we
learning are. Which ones cause like inflammation in your body. Cause I did learn that, like pork, anytime I would eat pork, I would get super inflamed and my joints would hurt, or I'd get digestive issues or whatever it was. And that's not to say that, that affects everybody, but as you're moving along, you can focus on, okay, I don't feel so great. What did I eat yesterday that was different than I normally do?
So, Sunny, knowing what you know, and I feel like I could just talk with you for hours because I can learn so much from you, just about anything. Because because I love talking about health, but I love talking about barbecue. I mean, we could talk all day. I know, you're amazing. I'm loving this, but I'm wondering, as a mom, we all know that it's kind of hard to get kids to always eat what you want them to eat. And especially you have 4, I just have 1, and so what do you have like a go-to kind of like weeknight meal that seems to be family friendly for everyone on the grill, or what do you have some kind of standard, like this is my go-to? Like for me, it's kind of like chicken thighs with my rub and like a salad. That's kind of like, I'm going to make that at least once this week,
Yeah.
What is your version?
Mine is actually, we have a couple different ones that we love. I make a Greek chicken power bowl, which is really good on the grill. And then we also do like a apple honey mustard pork tenderloin or chicken breasts with it, which are really good. And then I'll do some garlic potatoes in a foil packet on the side, and usually either like grilled green beans or asparagus.
Yum.
So, yeah.
It's making me so hungry.
I know, right?
It's like, I love talking about food. It's just like, so exciting. So probably how some people feel about talking like about fashion or whatever, like hit a couple of things, you just start dorking out,
Yes. Yep.
So what advice would you give to women who are intimidated by grilling or don't know how to grill yet, but are interested in maybe learning? Like what would you say to them?
Either go and take a class, because there are a lot of classes being offered. I'm actually going to be traveling around teaching classes, but start with a pellet grill. Start with something that's less intimidating than like a charcoal grill or a smoker, because they are easier to use. You can learn them really quickly and still make amazing food for your family.
You're so right. Like, I feel like when I first started grilling, pellet smokers didn't even exist. And now I feel like, because of Traeger and the other ones, like a lot of women have been exposed to grilling because it is similar to using an oven. I mean, all you have to do is press a button, and you still get the smoky flavor. So Sunny, where can everyone follow you so they can learn more?
So I am coming out with a website. It's sunnymoody.com, sunny.moody.com. And then I also have TikTok, which I'm not very good about posting on, but I'm going to get back to it. I was for a while. I got to get back on. We've had so much going on. It's crazy. I'm on Facebook. Just friend me. It's under Sunny Moody. I'm getting another account set up just for public. And then also on Instagram, I'm under Grilled Fit, GrillledFit.
That's awesome. And
you can follow our family, because we all compete together too. Like my 4 girls actually compete. And so we do this as a family. My husband and oldest daughter and I compete against each other. And then our 3 younger ones do the kids' cues. And if we're at a larger meat contest, like an MBN or a GBA or KCBS, we work as a team. But in the steak cook-offs, we compete against each other.
Wow. I love
So you can follow our family at Mood Swing Barbecue.
I love that you have the whole family involved. And are you also taking on, like, you're a personal trainer, are you taking on new clients? I mean, it sounds like you have a lot going on.
So no, I did up until October. I was running my own nutrition coaching and personal training business, but we have taken off because we won the world championship and a few other, big things. So I have set that aside, and I'm just strictly running our barbecue business right now.
That's amazing. So you said you're teaching classes. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So Ace Hardware is actually going to be sending me around through B&B Charcoals. I'm partnered with them. So they're going to be sending me around to teach backyard grilling classes. So for all the beginners or people that just want to experience new meats or, vegetable sides, whatever, as well as competition classes. So be on the lookout for those. I'll post them on my website anytime a new one drops. And Cosmo, I don't know if you've heard of Cosmo Q Competition Products. Cosmo's actually having me out to teach some classes at his storefront.
Cool.
So that'll be fun. I partnered up with Susie from Hey Grill Hey, and I filmed some stuff with her. So she's going to be releasing some cool, fun classes, online classes.
Very cool.
On our website, we are actually going to be releasing backyard recipes. It's going to follow our competition team, our Mood Swing Barbecue as a family. I'll release some competition recipes as well as healthy grilling recipes. So I haven't totally set it aside because, it is near and dear to my heart and I want to be able to reach more people. So being a recipe developer, I recipe develop for quite a few companies now. And so those recipes will be on my website so that you can access healthy grilling recipes. And yeah, so we have kind of a lot going on.
And you're going to share one for GrillGirl.com too, which is awesome.
Yes.
So I can't
Yes,
wait.
I will.
Well, thank you so much, Sunny. It's been amazing. I'm going to end the chat really, but we can stay on. But everyone, you guys check out Sunny because she's amazing and just such an inspiration. And thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.